All, this is Dr. Ratna Chaturvedi. The subject I am taking is Fundamental of Web Programming using Java. I am from the Department of Information Technology. The topic which I am taking from Java programming is arrays. Within this, we'll see what are arrays, how arrays are used in Java, what are the different types of arrays, and how array can be used as an object. So before moving further, we should very well aware of this thing that Java is having so many number of different data types, among which one is primitive data types. Primitive data types are having capacity to store a particular kind of value in a variable. So if a variable is of integer type, can hold one integer value only. If it is of double type, can hold one double kind of value in it. But in case we have to store within one variable only multiple values, then what is the alternate? So the alternate is arrays. Reason behind arrays are defined as a fixed size sequence of similar kind of data elements. In an array, we can store different types of either primitive or non-primitive values together in a contiguous memory allocations, and we can access individual element also on the basis of their subscript position or index. So a subscript or an index is basically a positive integer which tells the position of an array element. It starts from 0 and goes till, if the size of an array is 6, it will be having different variable values in different positions starting from 0 to 6. So array are used when a programmer wants to store multiple data items within a same variable only and want to access it individually to manipulate the values which are lying in the list having same variable name but different index positions. So hence we can say that that array is a group of contiguous or related data values which share a common name, used when programmer have to handle a very large amount of data, and that data is also of same kind only, like to store the salary of thousands of employees or to store the marks of thousands of students. So we need one variable name which will be having capacity to handle large amount of data in it. Each value is stored in different position. Like if this is an array, so in this array, in individual positions, data will be going to get stored. So this position, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3 onwards, and let's say if the name of an array is A, so it will be A, 0. This is a symbols which we use, it's known as subscript, and within this we write the position or index value. Base index is 0. The ability to use a single name to represent a collection of items and refer to an item by specifying the item number enable us to develop a very concise and efficient programs. And in these kind of programs, we basically uses loop, because a loop with index as the control variable can be used to read the entire array. If we know that we have to read entire array, we can say that start from 0 and go till the length of an array, whatever the length of array is over there. We can just check the length of array as by using its property, that is array dot length. So the I value should be less than equals to array dot length, and we can then keep on incrementing the value of I. It will not be equals to, it will go till less than only, right? Because if the size is 7, the values will be from 0 to 6. So this is, if we see it in more detail, give me a second. So there are two types of array, one dimensional array which can be shown in this way or in this way, right? It depends at which kind of data values they are having and what is the size. Depending on that, the memory size will be going to get allocated. If it is an integer array, we know that it holds one integer element stored 2 bytes of data. and if it contains 7 elements, it means ki total 7 into 2, 14 bytes of size. It will look in a contiguous manner in the memory and will be going to store that array. And as one dimension is over only here, either we can represent it as column wise or row wise. This is known as one dimensional array. There can be multiple dimensional array also, which are having more than one dimension, that is either 2 dimension or 3 dimension. So when there is a combination of rows and columns together, we say that it is a 2 dimensional array. Similarly, if there are more than 2 dimensional, then we say that it's a 3 dimensional array. So 2 dimensional array we declare in this way, are having 2 subscript position, and the total size will be 7 into 5, and 3 dimensional array we declare with 3 subscript positions, and the total size will be 7 into 8 into 2. And then for this we will be using 3 for loop. For this we will be using 2 for loops to manipulate different values which are lying in different position. In coming slides we will see all these concepts in much more detail. Let's see, move further. So this is single dimensional array. A single dimensional array is the simplest form of an array which requires one subscript to access any element like any ordinary array. The question arises how we declare an array. So to declare an array, first of all we need to write the primitive or non-primitive data type which we are using over here, and the name of an array, and then the subscript. This subscript we can keep empty also, or we can declare in this way also, data type with subscript and then name of an array. Data type can be array, any data type. So here as mentioned over here, this is an array. Different index values are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the array is num. Name of an array is num. These are the values. So this can be declared as int, then subscript, and then num, or we can say int num and then subscript. You can see here we have just declared, but we didn't initialize the memory because size is missing over here. So in further slide we see how to initialize the memory to this array, that we'll see in coming slides. For this the operator which we use is new, whereas in other languages it is not necessary. The moment you write data type in the name of an array with size, the array will get declared. But in Java you have to make use of new operator to allocate the memory to an array. Like here we are saying, these are the two ways I have just explained you. The example is int students or int students. Here the subscript position is lying with data types, here with the name of a variable. Right now no size has been declared. To declare a size, we'll be using new operator. How is shown over here. This is the syntax. First of all, you have written int marks or int marks, well and good. Now to declare the memory to this, to initialize the memory, to allocate the memory to this array, what we say, the name of array is marks, and the amount of memory we want to initialize is for 5 different values. So we'll make use of new operator, and then we say that 5 different numbers on at different position can be allocated to marks variable. And together we can write in this way also, int marks is equals to new marks, and then 5, and then 5, and then semicolon. So it will allocate 10 bytes of 5 into 2, 10 bytes of memory in continuous manner to this marks array. So we will see further in coming slides that how we perform manipulation to this particular array. So either you can use two steps or you can use one step. In two steps, firstly you are declaring only int marks with subscript, and second the name of array is equals to new, again data type and then size, like marks new int. So the two steps is, first step is this and second step is this. In coming slides we'll see how we do this. Now see the advantages and disadvantages of arrays. If we talk about advantages, it helps us to optimize the code. We can retrieve or sort the data efficiently in comparison to storing the information in different variables. It allows us to access the information randomly also. Whereas if we talk about disadvantage, the size limit is the disadvantage, because we can store only the fixed size of elements in the array. It doesn't grow according to the requirement. Whereas to solve this problem, collection framework is used in Java, which enables us to grow the size of array dynamically or automatically. Now let's see how to initialize an array. Earlier we have seen how to declare an array, within which we have learned that first of all we will writing the data type and then the name of an array, then the subscript symbol equals to new, then we'll say marks and then the size. So this is, in this way it will be going to allocate the memory to this particular array of 10 bytes, because 5 is the size and 2 byte is the size of integer, so 2 into 5 10 bytes. The question arises how to initialize. So the syntax to initialize an array in different subscript position is the name of an array, and then within subscript the index number or subscript position equals to value. As we have done over here, it starts from 0, the base value is 0, student 0 is 50, students 1 is 40. So like C, Java also creates array starting from subscript 0 and with the value 1 less than the actual size. Unlike C, Java protects array from overruns and underruns and try to access an array beyond its boundaries and generate array out of index error also. So this is how we declare, and if we are taking input in an array, then definitely we have to make use of loops, and using loops we can store the value in different positions. Now see how to access an element from a one-dimensional array. So to access an element, we have to simply write the name of an array and the subscript position. If I say 5, it means that I want to read the value of 6th position. If I say marks 2, it means I want to read the value of 2nd position element. So the syntax is array name and the name of a subscript. It enables you to access the value from an array, and to access the element values from the entire array starting from 0 till end, it is suggested to use for each loop, because using for each loop you can say int I colon and then you can say marks and simply you can access I. So no need to write the subscript position even. So this we have seen in for each example, and in array also we'll see in more detail that how for each will be making our work convenient. We are not required to use subscript position in performing any kind of manipulations in an array. This is a diagram wherein you have already declared an array of 5 size. So this is the marks. Always point to the start address. These are the different subscript position. Imagine that these are the values and these are the different addresses which are mentioned over here, and in this the size of integer is 4 byte. So the first initial address of an array is 2001. Second position will be lying at 2005 position, that is 2001 plus 4 byte 2005, 5 plus 4 9, 9 plus 4 13, 13 plus 4 17. So here in continuous manner the data is being stored in continuous memory allocation in different subscript positions. To find out the length of an array, you are having one property, that is length. So you have to just give a name of an array. Let's say the name of an array is student. You will write students.length. So it will be returning the length of an array. And the length of an array, let's say if 7, it will be going to get stored in the integer variable, because length will always be in an integer form. And to access the length of an array, the syntax is array name dot length. Let's see the example. In this array, example of an array, the name of a class is student array. Here I am making a main function, return public static void main string asks. I have declared an array but not allocated the memory. So the name of an array is a student. Now I am allocating memory using new operator to the students array, and the size is 7. You have to remember this thing. Here the data type is integer, here also it is integer. We can write both the statement together in such a way: int subscript position, name of an array is students, equals to new students, and the size is 7 and then semicolon. You can do in this way also. So right now we have declared an array. Now I am checking what is the length of an array. How we can check? I am saying system.out.println within double quotes array length equals to, what it will print, it is a concatenation operator, it will return me the length of an array, that is 7. Now I am storing the value in an array. How we store? We start from 0 till the length, till the value of I is less than student's length. Each and every time it will be updating it, and at ith position I am storing the value as 2 into I. As it contains only one statement, I am not making use of block, that is curly bracket. In case of single statement, you can omit it also. So what it will do, it will first of all start from 0th position, store 2 into 0, that is 0, and then when it increments the value of I, it becomes 1, 1 is less than 7, next time at 1 it will be storing 2 into 1, then 2 into 2, then 2 into 3 onwards till 2 into 6, that is 12. Now I am saying checking what are values are being stored. So for I is equals to 0, I less than students dot length I plus plus, I am printing the value of students I. So it will print all the values starting from 0 till 12. First 0, then 2, then 4, then 6, onwards till 2 6 are 12. So this is how we declare an array, store the values in an array, and display the value from an array. Now we can initialize the array at the time of declaration also. How we do this? This is a data type, this is a syntax, the name of an array, and at that time only within curly bracket we can write all the values separating by comma. If we do like so, it will check that how many values are being initialized, and accordingly the size will be going to get allocated. So here int students, I am creating an array. What is the size? In spite of writing new, then int, then size, I am initializing the value. So this will be at 0 position, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the total size is 5. If I say students.length, it will return 5. In this situation, no need to make use of new operator. Now we see the example. Earlier we have taken the input from the user. This time I am not taking input. The class name is same, main function. Here while declaring, I have initialized the value, checking the length, and then displaying the value using SOP system.out.println students I to display the value, making use of for. So what we will see, it will going to display the values as 55, 69, 70, 30 and 80. Here is one more example. Here we see how the array processes. So for this, see what I have done. The name of a class is test array. Within this is a main function. function, I am creating one array, and at the time of declaring an array, I am initializing then and there. So the name of array is mylist, the data type it's double. As it is an array type, I have used subscript symbol over here. At the time of declaration, I am initializing within curly bracket and writing values at 1.9, 2.9, 3.4 and 3.5. Now I want to print all these values. I'll use a for loop starting from 0 till the value of I is less than mylist.length, where mylist is the name of an array I++. Again and again I am printing the value of mylist with the subscript position I, which keep on changing from 0 till 1 less than the length of an array, which is 3. It will print the 0th position, then 1, then 2, then 3, and once it becomes 4, it will come out from the loop, because the different position in which values are stored are 0, 1, 2 and 3. Now I am summing up all the values to show you that how we can process the elements which are lying within an array. For this I have taken one variable total, initialize its value as 0, because additive identity is 0 only, and I have to sum up all the values which are lying in an array again and again, starting from 1.9, then 1.9 plus 2.9, then the sum which should be added with 3.4, then the sum should be added with 3.4, and all the changes are to be done within an array only. So at initial position, what I will do, I will take an element, a variable total with the value as 0, and within a loop, what I will do, I am using here compound assignment operator, that is total is equals to total plus I. So at the initial stage, this total is having 0 plus 1.9. It becomes 1.9. So what it is doing, it is picking the old value of total and adding some new value to it, and whatever the output is storing in total itself. So writing in this way, I can use compound assignment operator also, that is total is equals to, here I am writing I. So this means total is equals to total, old value of total plus I, and whatever the computed value is stored back into total only. So this is what I am doing over here. And once I am able to add all the elements which are lying in an array, I'll come out from the loop and display the sum of all the elements which are there in an array by writing a statement, that is system.out.println total. Now I have to find out the maximum element within an array. This is also, we can do one processing we have done, we have displayed all the output. Another processing, we have again run the for loop only, within which I have processed the sum of all the elements. Now I am comparing. So at the first time I said ki, let's say m is equals to the initial value in an array, that is the value which is at 0th position. And after that I am starting from 1, moving towards other element and comparing each and every element with this max. If I find any element which is larger than max, then I will be going to swap it. Here I am swapping it. If mylist.I is greater than max, it means that this one is greater, this is smaller. So what I do, I'll initialize this max with this value, and we keep on doing this. At the end we will be having the largest value which is there in the array. So we have seen that how the processing in Java can be done within an array, and I hope you understand. In case you didn't understand, just leave the message in the description box, I'll help you out. Now see, to sort an array, I have to just arrange it in a proper order. Like it should be 1, then 2, then 5, then 7, then 8. Any order in ascending or descending. How we can process in an array in Java? First thing, I have declared an array int, the subscript symbol, the name of array is ARR, new to allocate the memory. I am allocating integer values. At the time of declaration only I am initializing the value also. So this is another way to initialize the value at the time of declaration. At one go I am taking temp is equals to 0. Now original array is starting from 0 till the length of this air. I will display each and every value over here. Like starting from I is equals to 0 till I is less than air dot length I plus plus system dot out dot println air I plus space. So it will display these all values 5, 2, 8, 7, 1. Next, now we will perform sorting. How we perform? What we do, we are having some element in an array. This is an array which is having some elements like say 4, 3, 2, 1 and let's say 5. So one loop is having the value which is lying at the first position in the beginning. That is for I is equals to 0, I less than air dot length I plus plus. Now I is equals to 4. That is the value which is lying at 0th position. Now I will compare this value with the rest of the elements. So I will run another loop. This another loop which is starting from I plus 1. When I is 0, j is equals to 1. So starting from 1, it will go till its length and each and every time it will compare its value with this I. So in case this I value is greater than this another value, then it will be going to swap it. Otherwise it will keep on moving. So 4 is compared with 3. 4 is greater than 3, we will be swapping. Fine. Now again I will compare this 3 with 2, it is greater swap. Then 1, no, then no. So what will happen? Here we will be getting the largest value. At which position? Air I, the smallest value. That is 1. 1 will be lying over here. Rest of the elements will be like 4 is now here, 3 is here, 2 is here and 6 is here. Now we'll make I as 4. Now this is 4. Again I plus 1 j will be over here. It will compare each and every element with each and every value. If any value is having a greater value than the ith position value, then we will be swapping it. If not, will not be swapping. In this way, we keep on comparing each and every element, keeping one element static, and accordingly, whenever we find the value which is at ith position is greater than the rest of the element, then we'll swap, because we want that the smallest element should be at the earlier position than the element which is lying at the later on position. So in this, if you say, I hope you understand, otherwise here you can say 4, 3, 1, 2 and let's say 5. So when I is equals to 0, j is equals to 1, j will go till this is 0th position, 1 position, 2 position, 3 position, 4 position. It will go till 4. Every time, look over here, it is saying if air I is greater than air j. So air I is 4. 4 is greater than 3? Yes. Then what will come in temp? In temp comes 4. In temp comes 4. In air I comes air j, that is 3. And in air j comes temp, that is 4. So in first pass, 3 will come over here, then 4, then 1, then 2, then 5. Again see, we are in the innermost array only. J get increased. Now j becomes 2. Now j becomes 2. 5. And I is having 0th position element only. That is 3. I is having 0th position element only. That is 3, because I is constant over here. So now this 3 will be going to get compared with rest of the element 1, 2, 3. So see, 3 is greater than 1? Yes. The moment we found, we will put 1 over here. Now it becomes 4, 3, 2, 5. Again j get increased. Now j will be having value as 3. So that is 0, 1, 2, 3. That is 2. 1 is greater than 2, no swapping will be going to happen. 1 is greater than 5, no swapping will be going to happen. So 1 is now sorted. Now we are left with this list. In this case, what we'll do, again this I will be having value as now 1 because I is incremented over here. So and j will be having value as 2 and it will go still. So again we compare. What we compare this 4 with rest of the values. 4 is greater than 3, yes. So it will become 1, 1, 3, 4, 2, 5. Again j get increased. J becomes, now j, 3 is swept, now j becomes, earlier it was 2, 3 here. 3 is compared with 2, yes, 3 is greater than 2. So now it becomes 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 5. Now this is constant. 2 is compared with 5. 2 is greater than 5. No. So this we get in pass 2. Now again we increase the value of I. I becomes your 3 and j becomes, I becomes 2. This time I becomes 2 and j becomes 3. So I becomes 2 means this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. This is I and j will start from this position, that is 3, and goes till 4. So 4 will be compared with 3. Yes, 4 is greater than 3. 3 will be swapping. So it becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again this 3 will be going to get compared with 5. Will it be going to swap? No, no swapping will be done. Now I becomes 3 and j becomes 4. So what will happen? This is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I is 3, that is 4. J is 4. Is 4 is greater than 5? No, it is not. The moment j becomes 5, it will come out from innermost loop. It will go out. I is also 3. When we plus it 4, so it will also not go beyond, and we see that we are having now a sorted array, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is how we do sorting using for loop, and the sorting which we have done on an array element, and this is how we compare each and every index position with another position, and we can sort the element which are lying in an array. So this was the another example. Now we see further on more examples. You can do as many examples as you can. This is all how you want to practice, how good you want to become in a concepts, any concepts you are learning in any of the language. So this is what I have explained you just now. This is now another concept. What we are learning, how to pass an array to a method in Java. So how to pass? See, we have to pass an array in a method. So method, let's say we are having one method. The name of a method is print array. It is not returning anything. As we want to declare this function as the class level, we can declare it static. As we want to access it outside, the visibility mode is public. And as we want to pass an array as an argument, we have to declare it over here, that is integer type of array. The name of array is array. Within this function, I am saying I is equals to 0 till this array's length is less than 1. The loop will keep on moving and displaying the value of each and every index position, that is array I. It is a simple function. What this function is doing, this function is printing an array. Which array? Whatever array it receives from a calling function. So now see, we'll make a function, we will make a class which is calling this function. So how this function will be get called? In case this function get called with an array, and here I haven't mentioned the name of array, but I have declared, initialize the array with these all values at the time of declaration only. New will be going to allocate the memory. The memory will be allocated of size 4 byte. The total number of elements in an array are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This will go and get copied in this array, and you see when you print, you see the first element is 3, then 1, then 2, then 6, then 5, then 2. So this is how we can pass an array to a method. Now we see other example. In this, we are having one class test array. Here we are passing an array to a method, same, but here the complete example is shown again. The class name is static array. Within this there is one function min. Min is having one argument of integer type. The name of an argument is air. The data type is integer. It is not returning anything. This method is static method. No need to use object to call this method. Within this I have written my process logic, that is min is equals to air 0. I am comparing rest of the elements from 1 onwards and checking if any of the element is having much lesser value than this, I am swapping it. And at the end, once it comes out from the loop, I am returning this min. I am printing this min value. I am printing here, not returning, printing this min value. So this is a class. Now within this class I am having one member function. This is one member function. Another member function which I am having is main. Fine. So with this main I am having one more array. The name of array is A, having element 33, 3, 4, 5, and I am calling function min. I am not using object of a class because it is lying within this test array only, where two functions are there. One is min and another is main. So within the class only, when I am calling function, I can make its name, make use of its name because it is a member function. So I am saying min, calling a function, passing an argument as a, and we say that the output is 3 because among this list of values, the minimum value element is at the first position, that is 3. So here we learned how we pass a complete array in a function. So I am making a function separately and we want that array should be passed and all manipulation can be done, should be done in that array. I can pass in this way. So this is, we can have anonymous array also in Java. What this anonymous array do basically? I am having, the Java supports the feature of anonymous array. You don't need to declare the array while passing an array to a method. You can just while passing only you can declare an array, as we have done in the first example, and the same example is being shown over here. Here I am having one function print array, as I explained you. Argument I am passing is of integer type, integer array. Here I am printing the value starting from 0 till 1 less than the length of an array and printing the value of each and every index position. In this class only I am having main method also. This is first member function, this is second. And as this member function is static, no need to call it through object. We can directly call it by its name. Now in main, now at this time I am not declaring any array. While calling this print array function, I am passing all the values. And when I am passing, I am just mentioning this thing, that this is an array of integer type. And whatever number of variables this function is having passed as an argument, whatever number of values I am passing, that will be going to allocate it with the memory of 2 into the number of elements of having this array, while passing it anonymously to the main function, to the calling function. So this is how we do over here. From main I am passing these all arguments. So the calling function is main and the call function is print array. I haven't declared any array at the time of calling only. I am declaring the array and passing then and there. So it saves time also, and these kind of functions are known as anonymous functions, or these kind of passing of an argument of an array is known as anonymous array, which is not having any name, as it's very clear over here. There is no name of an array. But when these values get passed to the called function, these values going to get stored in ARR. Here is the name of an array. So when you pass, the values will be going to get stored in ARR, and we can access all the different superposition values making use of name of an array, that is ARR, and different subscript positions. Returning array from the method. How do we return an array from the method? So this is a function, name is reverse. I am passing an array to it, that is integer array. The name of array is list. and the return type is an integer array, this complete array, integer array. Static, no, it's a class level, scope public. And here I am saying for I is equals to 0, j is equals to result dot length minus 1, I is less than list dot length. List is the name of an array, result is also the name of our array. This result we are getting as a return value, so we are just initializing I with 0 and j with whatever result will be going to get returned, that value will be going to get initialized in j, because result may be having 5 to 6 data members or elements of an array. Here I am saying result dot length, so it will be returned the length of that array minus 1. I is having value less than the another array, that is list, which is passed as an argument dot length, and I plus plus j minus minus. What I am doing, I am reversing an array. Let's say I am passing 4, 3, 2, 1, 7. So this array's name is list. Another array I am having result. This result will be having reverse value, because I am moving from here I is equals to 0, but j is equals to result dot length, means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 minus 4, 5 minus 1, 4. This is the value of j. So from here I am incrementing, here I am decreasing. And what I am doing, result j means result's fourth position. What I am putting, list I, that is this 4. So at here what will going to get stored at fourth position 4, then decrement 3, then decrement 2, then decrement 1, then decrement 7. So from here we are moving from 4 to 0, and from here we are moving from 0 to 4, and we are just putting each and every value. 0th value will go to 4th position, first value will go to 3rd position, second value go to 2nd position, and we will be able to reverse the element in an array. We have reversed the element in an array, and now we have returned it. What we do, we have returned this array result, which is having a reverse element. So now we try to print it out. We'll see. When we print it out in a main method, we see that we are able to get the reverse element. When I am creating a class, I am just this having one method, that is get, which is having return type as integer, and here I am saying returning to this new int, the array, anonymous array, no name is over here. When I pass it, I'll see that the reverse of these or reverse element will be going to get displayed. Where I am displaying here, this is a main function, and main function what we are doing, we are calling this get function. Get function will be going to get return value. That return value I am storing in another array. Now I am running this for loop from 0 to array length and displaying each and every value. So I am seeing that the reverse of the previous values are being displayed. And what are the values which we have passed? You can easily see what values here we printed: 10, 30, 50, 90, 60, and the values which we have passed were 60, 90, 50, 30, 10. We passed 60, 90. We have passed as an argument anonymous array 60, 90, 50, 30 and 10. And in reverse we are getting 10, 30, 50, 90, 60. So this was only the example where we have seen how we are getting as a return value array. So when we are getting a return value as an array, we should remember one thing, that the value variable in which we are storing the return value should also be of array type. In case we try to access some value which is out of bound, we will see that the exception will be going to get thrown, that is array out of bound exception. Thus in this example we are starting from 0 but going till I less than equals to array dot length. So the array of length is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. There is no value at fifth position. So when we try, it will exist 0, 1, 2, 3. 4 elements are over here, 0, 1, 2, 3. When I say equals to, it will go till 4. And as at fourth position, there is no element. So it will display an error, that is array index out of bound. This also, you please try each and every example I am showing over here, explaining over here. You just stop the screen and try each and every example. You can copy the arrays also. How you can copy? Suppose I am having one array of character type and another array of character type. This character type array is having different values D, E, C, A, F and blah blah blah, whereas another array is having only size. No values are over here. Here only I am allocating the memory, and the size of this array is 7. 7 into 1, 7. I am saying array copy. Function name is system.arrayCopy. Copy from is this array. Fine. 2, second element. Copy 2 is another element. Then 0 to 7. Now I'll print the string that is copied to this. What is being stored in this? So what is being stored? 0, 1, 2. This is 2. Till what? 7. So CAFFEIN. How many elements are over here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 elements are being copied starting from 2 from the array copy from into the array copy 2. So we can copy the part of a array into another array also. Similarly, we see that we can clone an array also. Clone as it is. If we are having one array having element 33, 3, 4, 5, the original array, we want to take a clone of it. There is a function by the name clone. You have to create one more array, that is CARR. No size is mentioned over here, is equals to ARR. ARR is the name of this array dot clone method. Call this clone method. Try to display. You see that both the arrays are having same value. You want to check, you can check also system.out.println ARR equals to CARR. You see that it will be returning in this case false, because we cannot compare the entire array in this way. I'll show you in other classes that how the arrays can be compared, whereas both are having the same values. This I'll let you know in coming lectures. In coming classes, we will see how we use multi-dimensional array and how we will be able to use arrays of object. For today, it's all about single dimensional array, and see you in another class. Thank you.